Hello again, Taylor County. I'm Alex Renham, and I'm here with Clark Sinclair, running for Board of Education. Clark, thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate the invitation and chance to speak with you all.
Absolutely. Let's just kick it off. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Again, my name is Clark Sinclair. I'm a lifelong resident of Taylor County. My wife, Karen, and I raised 3 sons who went through the Taylor County school system. Most of you may know me as a former sheriff. Again, I'm running for my 2nd term for the Board of Education.
What does, I think people have their ideas of what a board member does, but you're on the board currently. Well, give us some perspective of what the duties of a board member are.
Basically, with the board, the buck stops with us. We approve all policies, hirings. The only person we actually hire on the board is the superintendent. She's like our CEO of the board. Again, everything policy-wise, employment-wise, financial-wise comes through the board for our approval.
So you mentioned some of your past already, but give us a specific challenge or a role or a job or some example that you think prepared you to be an effective leader for the Taylor County education system.
Okay, well, I'll back when I was in high school. When I was about 17, I actually started to work for the Board of Education on a CETA program, which after school I went to the bus garage and would sweep the bus garage out, change oil on the school buses, run for parts. So I started really young with the Board of Education. And then I transitioned to when I was going to college. I was hired as a bus driver. I worked in maintenance. I worked as a custodian, teacher's aide. So they had me different roles I played. I was actually one of the youngest bus drivers in Taylor County. Started when I was 18 years old. At that point, I got a job at the Taylor County Sheriff's Office. Did both jobs for a while as deputy sheriff and a bus driver, and one of the runs I did was the special needs bus, which gave me a lot of experience with dealing with those type of individuals. Then I kind of transitioned away from the board to the sheriff's office, and at that point was elected sheriff, which gave me some administrative experience with the budget and so forth.
Yeah. So if the citizens of Taylor County re-elect you as board member, what's your number one priority coming into this next term?
Well, Alex, every time we start a board meeting, we start with the prayer and the pledge of allegiance. And the prayer we pledge or we pray to God to give a quality education to the children of Taylor County schools. And there's several aspects to that. Of course, there's a budget part. We have to have a clean environment for the students. And a really big thing now, which is the safety of our students. So there's many facets to that to come together to do our job as a board member.
And so if we play that forward, and at the end of this next term, or how many ever terms you were able to serve, what would you want your legacy to be as Clark Sinclair board member?
Well, the same legacy I have as sheriff. I want to be open to the public, an honest person, listen to the concerns, answer all the concerns I can. At the end of the day, when I go to the board meeting, I sit there and I think, have I done anything at this meeting to make a difference? Because a lot of people say, it's just a routine meeting, but it's not. I think every meeting we have issues come up we have to deal with. And I think it's very important as a board member to make sure we've worked through those issues every day. It's not just a 2-meeting-a-month job. It's a full-time job as a board member.
Yeah. And what do you think, from your perspective and history, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing Taylor County right now from an educational standpoint?
The biggest challenge, of course, there's always a challenge with the budget, with the money. And we got to be good stewards with the money, because the Board of Education, we use 75% of your tax dollars for the schools, for the training, for the teachers, and so forth. Also, we have a levy which we renew every 5 years, which that's another facet of the taxpayers' money. So it's important to me. Again, the big issue now, I guess you see in the news and the national news, unfortunately, is with the school safety, and that's something we've really kind of concentrated on. I'm never ever going to be satisfied that we're completely safe in the school system. There's always different things that we need to do to make it safer. It's an ongoing process. So the first thing, we have to provide a safe environment for the children and the staff. Then we have to provide the proper training, have good teachers, have good programs like the math programs to bring it. Of course, we have test scores. It's our obligation too as educators to make sure the students are able, when they get out of high school, to get a high SAT score to go into college if they wish, or if they want to go into trade schools. So we've got several responsibilities. It's not just providing, it's all kind of balanced into providing a quality education. That's several things we have to look at as a board member.
Yeah, one of the challenges that is across the board at every level of any leadership in this nation right now, and that's the opioid addiction. And obviously, our kids are the ones that are recipients of the suffrage. You know, we're all suffering, but
exactly.
But, you know, so from a board education standpoint, what can be done at that level to help alleviate the results of that epidemic right now?
Well, again, we have to provide training for our teachers and particularly the staff and the children. I'm sorry. Back when I was sheriff, I was a dare officer in the Tarrant County schools, and we taught for several years. Actually, we just had a meet your candidate function, and one of the board candidates told me he had me in the dare class, which kind of made me feel a little old, but.
That was in one of those.
So, oh, okay, well, there it goes. There you go. So, but we've got to start with training. Again, there's different things that the state law requires us to do, but I guess it would be to train the children and react to situations from home. And a lot of times the principals and teachers come to us, the child misbehaves or having some type of issues at home. It's usually in some areas of this county is due to drug use.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate. That's something, and it's only going to get worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a real challenge, and I don't think anybody has the answer just yet.
No, and again, that in the grade school level, it's behavior issues, and then in the high school level, it's the same thing. But statistics show in the grade schools, if there's some kind of incident like a shooting incident, it's going to be a parent coming in. If it's a middle school or high school, it's going to be a student, unfortunately. So, and a lot of that catalyst is due to drug use and the home life. So.
Yeah. So as you know, we polled the citizens of Taylor County for questions that they might have, and the Board of Education got a ton of questions. We tried to kind of pile them into a couple themes, if you will, and one of those, you can't miss it, right, was the recent work stoppage that happened, last
Correct.
month, and and it certainly spawned some things, right? You see other states following suit on some of that, and so you were obviously a current board member through that, or a board member through that.
Yes, sir.
Can you share your perspective on that? And I think then the next question I think a lot of people are having is, okay, what's next? Because obviously I think most people want to take care of the youth. I think everybody's claiming wins on all sides, and that's fine. But how do we improve our education system?
Well, I think as you know, the board 5-0 voted to support the teachers and in their endeavors, and some of the reasons personally I have did in the past. One issue was not just the pay raise, it's PEI insurance.
Right.
And as a deputy sheriff and sheriff, I had PEI insurance. I know it's a real problem sometimes. You have to scrape pennies to make the payments in the premium. So my first concern with the PEI insurance and making sure they had proper coverage, and then of course the salaries. We're losing a lot of good teachers to the bordering states, Pennsylvania particularly, Maryland, because we can't offer the salaries. And we've lost a lot of good teachers in the last 4 years because of that. So, and you guys support. Not only the teachers, but our support staff, the bus drivers, the cooks, the aides, the custodians, the nurses. So as a board member, if we don't support our people or our staff, then we're not doing our job to provide a good education to the children. Because if you have a happy teacher, a trained teacher, it's going to reflect back on how they do their classroom teachings, and the students are going to benefit.
Yeah, you touched on it a bit about school safety. And I think you were at the event the other night. I was there, and I heard a student ask. Someone was asked, "Do you feel safe in school?"
Right.
And his response was, "Sometimes."
Sometimes.
And every head in that room dropped a little bit, right, when we hear that. So, and you touched on a little more. I'd like you to expand a little more. What can we do so that those kids answer? And I don't think that's just an isolated answer. I think that's probably representative of how kids feel. And some of that's perceived, some of it's real.
Right.
How can we change that answer to school is a safe place for me?
Well, again, I'm not going to say 100% the school's going to be safe. If I say today, Alex, the schools are safe, I'm not doing my job as a board member or a parent, because there's different issues we have to really look at. Again, I think back on that talk, we've discussed we're upgrading the camera system. We are trying to redo some locking systems, cards where we can read who's been in the school at what times, and maybe some alarms set off when somebody's in when they shouldn't be. One of the biggest things and we've all worked on, and again, I got to say, I've been really fortunate to have a good board to work with, the 5 of us, in the past 4 years. One of our biggest issues was the high school, which we've got a pro officer in the school again, and that's really, I think, has really helped the situation a lot down there. Again, we want to try to get a pro officer in the middle school. But that's not all the answers. I mean, there's got to be psychological trainings and things that you can pick up. Again, statistics show If it's at the high school, it may be, it's more likely it's going to be a student comes in and does with the weapon, which is unfortunate. So we got to kind of be proactive in what we're doing with the school safety. And again, I'm never ever going to be happy as a board member that we're completely safe, because if I'm doing it, I'm not doing my job.
Sure, and we'll sleep on that.
And with my background in law enforcement, I can see different things that we could do. Again, a lot of stuff we do, we don't put out to the public, because it's obviously it's something we don't want the students to know, because that's what we're trying to prevent, some things.
Yeah, makes sense. It's always a fine line in security, what you share and what you don't.
Right,
for
right.
sure.
And again, just to make the parents and the staff, we are looking at again putting more officers, pro-officers in the schools, upgrading again. We've been really aggressive on the camera systems, some code red information, code red procedures. We just had a drill at Ann Jarvis Elementary a couple weeks ago. We're doing some mapping systems. That way, when local law enforcement roll in on a call, when somebody calls out a number, they'll know exactly what part of the school that they're in. So, and we just had a walkthrough yesterday at the high school for 3 hours with law enforcement, and we've looked at different. The high school's a nightmare, logistically nightmare, on trying to cover all the doors and little dead spots and hidden places they can hide. So we try to touch on some of those issues, but again, it's an ongoing process. It's something that I can't say, Alex, we're done with, we're happy now. We're not. Yeah. We can't be.
Yeah, makes sense. One of the things you mentioned earlier, and I'd like to open up a little more, because it was absolutely a theme of folks, and you hear about it more now, at least on the state level, you're hearing about it a bunch, is the workforce readiness, as opposed to let's get everybody college prep. There seems to be a transition to trade schools and getting people ready to join the workforce, which seems there's a dearth of that availability in terms of skilled labor in our state. Right. What are we doing at Taylor County, or what would you propose to do as a board member to be able to have more workforce readiness coming straight out of school? Well,
we're doing that now with the VOTEC school, and also we had a presentation at our last board meeting. The director at Gore, which I call Gore, it's in Harrison County. I attended that school several years ago. They've got all amazing programs now with law enforcement, nursing, auto body, auto mechanics. So we provide that to the students, particularly high school students. So there's no reason they can't get some type of trade that they want to do, if not on site at the high school in Harrison County. So, and again, a lot of students they're not going to go to college to get a college degree. They're going to go right to work. And again, we have Lear Mines here now. A lot of them. They have a Red Hat program at the high school now, training, which once they leave high school, they go directly to the mines. So again, I think I think as a board, we have really tried to offer stuff, and with the trades and with their vocational school here and the one in Clarksburg.
Yeah. One of the things, the themes that kept coming through, and this it's a double-edged sword, it's a two-way street, is clear and consistent communication, transparency, and obviously to have that, you got to have a public that's engaging and wants to engage, I guess I would say. But from a board member's perspective, what have you done, or what will you do to try to increase transparency and community engagement with the education system?
Well, we do it under the state law. We can't talk about anything at a board meeting. I can't come to a board meeting and say, hey, I want to talk about school safety. If something I have to put on the agenda for the next meeting, so the public can look at and come in. As a board member, I've tried to be transparent and to have an open door policy. And I'll give you examples. We had this, some of the teachers had concerns, so we'd bring them in and talk to them, pull their desk chairs up to our table and talk. A lot of people kind of think the board, we're set behind white pillars, or you can't talk to us. And that's something I've tried to, when I was campaigning last time, and what I've tried to work the last 4 years, the public and the students, that they can come talk to us. On our website, I have my email address, my telephone number. They can call me anytime. You send me an email, which a lot of them do. I think we're really transparent. I mean, the only thing we're not transparent about would be personnel and
Sure.
student issues like expulsions. We can't, by state law, we can't in an open public meeting talk about that. But I think as a board, and I'm speaking for the other 4 members, I think we've been very transparent in how we felt about the work stoppage, our support, how we feel about projects we're working on, things, and looking at like the school security and stuff like that. So I think this board has been really transparent in all those issues.
Yeah, makes sense. So as is customary on this program, we offer you the last word. What is it you want to tell the people of Taylor County?
Well, I've started back in '79, public service as deputy sheriff. I've was two-term sheriff when I left because of term limits. I wanted to work to the FBI. I've been there since. But I felt that I wanted to get back in public service again and be involved. So I feel it's important to, and again, I've learned a lot the last 4 years as a board member. There's certain things I couldn't come in and immediately do. I mean, because of the state laws, we can't address one issue at a meeting and resolve. We have to post it, unfortunately, for another meeting. Again, we've worked very hard as a board. We've had some major projects with the AC and heating project at the middle school, over $1 million project. We're working now to add rooms to West Taylor in addition. We have some aging schools, and we maintain very well, and our staff does, and our maintenance personnel, but there's another major project coming up with Ann Jarvis with the plumbing. We have to redo, there's a big project coming up on that. We're trying to apply for SBA grants, state money, to help with those projects, obviously. But as a board member, we have to be good stewards with the money and the taxpayers. It's given to us by the taxpayers. And again, 75% of your tax dollars goes to the board, so we just can't be like a bunch of drunken sailors and spend the money left and right. We have to really be spendthrifty and get the projects done. Again, school safety, that's a big issue with me. I'm very passionate about that. That's something we really have to work on. It's going to be an ongoing process. So I guess I love public service. I love working with the public. I've really enjoyed my last 4 years on the board. I've learned a lot, actually, things that I wasn't aware of with the board system until I became a board member. We've been blessed with the good board members. I think everybody doesn't agree to everything. Again, that's why there's 5 of us, not just one. But I think at the end of the day, we leave here knowing that we've done the right thing for the citizens of Taylor County. So I'm just, if re-elected, I'm going to continue to work hard for the citizens of Taylor County, the students, the parents, the grandparents, the taxpayers. Again, I have an open door policy. My number is on the website, my email address. I've always returned calls. I mean, if there's an issue come up, I'll address it for you. But we just need to be good stewards with what we're doing and be open, and I think that's what I'm going to continue to do the next 4 years.
Great. Clark Sinclair, Board of Education, good luck. Thanks again for coming.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely.